you do more than just the simple video game voice acting though. You do motion capture. You do all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, my background is in action acting. So before I was even an actor, I wanted to be like your Indiana Jones type guy. I wanted to be, John McClane, the Die Hard type guy. I grew up watching those movies, and when I started acting, because of my boyish looks, I was always getting cast as like the guy next door or the boyfriend in all these like, independent projects. And I got so tired of that real quick, and I was like, I don't want to go in this direction. I don't want to, nothing against them, but I didn't want to like act in like Hallmark movies. I wanted to do action movies. That's why I began. So a couple good friends of mine in the New England area, in the Boston area, we started doing action films, really low budget stuff. And I just got training and experience. And then when I got to LA, a couple of years into my career, someone introduced me to like the world of motion capture. And they're like, yeah, you can act in video games and do stunts and everything. I was like, what? I had no idea that was a career path. And then, I just auditioned one day for my first video game, which was Resident Evil, and I got it. So the rest is history.
Would you say that, the career in motion capture for video games is kind of more recent, so to speak, in the last, I don't know, decade? Which I don't know if you call decade recent, but it wasn't always an option.
Definitely, I would say 10 years ago, there was a very, very, very small amount of people, actors, doing motion capture. Most people didn't even know what that term was a decade ago. And now it's a highly sought after position. There's a lot of training, a lot of classes online, and a lot of actors are trying to transition into motion capture because the popularity of video games, just the sheer amount of work compared to a decade ago. Now you've got big famous film actors like A-listers wanting to do video games now because I think they see the writing on the wall that that's kind of where the future is going. Even in films like Planet of the Apes, like that's a perfect example. They use humans to motion capture even animal movements and stuff. So it is like it's a new technology. It's still in its baby phases and it's exploding right now. So I was happy to get in, 8 years ago, whenever I began, 2016. And I'm trying to train all the time, trying to get into as many projects as I can.
Motion capture is fascinating. I've watched a few kind of, documentaries or docuseries or vidocs from, Sony Santa Monica has one.
Yeah.
Someone did one on The Last of Us. Ninja Theory does a bunch because they have a really state-of-the-art motion capture studio. Like it's
cool stuff.
It's really, yeah, it's so cool to watch. It's kind of funny to watch a little bit because, some of them, they're, the tight suits with the ping pong balls and the dots on the faces and stuff. But then like you see it translate to this like this model that's like inanimate. And then you tie this animation to this model and it just works. And it's just, it blows my mind, that type of stuff that happens in video games that nobody thinks about.
It's technical. That's the biggest difference. Like if you're only used to doing live action or theater, the first day you work on a motion capture set, I find like that's the weirdest one for people because they have to learn all those differences. And it really is a very technical form of acting where like, inches matter, where if you're touching this imaginary thing or, you can't be crossing this wall that's not really there, but kind of there. And it's just all these technical things you have to think about and consider while wearing all the technology as well. You've got the battery pack, you've got the camera in front of your face, the light shining in your eyes. It's different. At the core of it, yeah, it's still acting. Pretty, I would say, closer to theater than like film acting, because you're performing like the whole scene in a giant open space they call the volume. And you have to imagine everything is there. You have to imagine that the environment is there, whether you're in like a cave underground or you're in medieval times. You have to just think about what it's like to be there. And it's just a big shiny room. So, tons of differences, but it's really fascinating.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.